Mr. Stanton, you are recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, for holding this important hearing. And thank you to each of the witnesses for your important testimony today. Arizona, and my district in particular, has been at the epicenter for the development and testing of autonomous vehicles. In Chandler, Waymo is operating a fully driverless vehicle as part of its ride-hailing service, Waymo One. In Scottsdale, Nuro and Cruise have partnered with retailers for local deliveries. And in Tucson, Arizona, Too Simple recently completed its first fully autonomous semi-truck run on the open road between Phoenix and Tucson. AVs have the potential to transform our transportation system by improving mobility for vulnerable populations or those who face barriers to transportation, enhancing vehicle safety, reducing vehicle crashes and deaths, and increasing productivity. At the same time, we also need to recognize that AVs have the potential to alter our workforce, and we want to keep as many people employed as possible. As Congress continues to consider the federal role in the testing and deployment of AVs, it will be important for this committee and all of the entities represented by the witnesses before this committee today to have a seat at the table. My first question is for the Vice Mayor Castex Tatum. I'm a former mayor myself. I come from the city world, former mayor of Phoenix. I know firsthand that leadership at the local level is key to fostering innovation. What are your thoughts about what the federal government can do to support and collaborate with cities in AV testing and development?
Again, I'll reiterate the importance of piloting with the cities. We want to see partnerships with cities that create more testing in more places, providing more data, and really working to get autonomous vehicles their own safety standards.
Thank you very much. My next question is for Mr. Marler. Mr. Marler, there are many public places and public and private stakeholders involved in AV development. Your testimony calls for federal leadership to help direct the conversation surrounding AVs. What role can the federal government play to help facilitate the safe deployment of AVs to meet community needs?
Thank you for that question. In Iowa, we've convened a public-private multi-sector vision for AVs, and we created a space for this in our state via the Iowa Automated Transportation Council. We've done this regionally in the Midwest, among our 10 Midwestern states, and it's our view that we need to replicate these types of engagements at the national level and establish a clear, consistent vision, strategy, and framework. There is sufficient energy across the nation in terms of this conversation. It's been somewhat fragmented. Iowa, we call them silos of excellence. Congress can foster this collaborative environment at all levels of government. We believe that you can convene a new national dialogue and conversation. You can make sure that we're engaging a broad cross-section for input, including local communities, both public and private. And also there are some great collaborative efforts already underway that support is critical for, like the Cooperative Automated Transportation Coalition. So those are some thoughts on how we might meet some community needs.
I appreciate this. This is for yourself and any of the witnesses that may want to answer. A significant number of roadway fatalities occur on rural roads. One of the challenges on the use of connected and automated vehicles is the lack of required infrastructure features to accommodate them in rural parts of our country. What can and should be done to prepare rural America for the expanded use of AVs?
I'd be happy to start with an answer to that question. And thank you for that question. Really two things that we're looking at. First is we do need to look at our physical infrastructure, make sure that we have good condition pavements, our signs, our lane markings, that these things are in good condition in our rural areas especially, but the investment can still be challenging. Our rural areas do struggle to have the available levels of funding to ensure that they're making those stewardship investments that they need. The second thing we can do is really an emphasis on digital infrastructure, really looking at our broadband, particularly in rural areas, looking at our mapping, looking at our connectivity and spectrum. This is why the spectrum question is so critical. These things, these two components, both physical and digital for our rural areas, they really have the opportunity to lift our rural communities across our nation.
In the short time left, any other witness want to take it?
Yes, if I might add. I'll chime in here just to add from an industry perspective, 2 points you raised. One, we find a lot of value in the convening power, both at the state level, like Congress is doing today, but also even at the USDOT level to really bring all stakeholders together. You know, my personal opinion is I don't know that we've done enough of that lately on these particular issues. On your point about rural, you know, part of our mission is to deliver this technology broadly. In fact, when you look at even some of our locations right now, they are what considered to be rural America. And I think we need to keep that in the conversation as well. I mean, many of the paths that highways cut through are rural in nature, and there's a lot of needs that probably should be considered, again, to support the efficiency and effectiveness of the rollout.
All right, I've run out of time here, so I'm gonna have to yield back, but I'd love to get at a later time, maybe a separate conversation with our representatives of organized labor about some of the thoughts on that one as well. I'll yield back.